Porsche Commander and Williams Sim Racing all looking to get their place in the final secure. Final taking place tomorrow, of course, over the course of a maximum of 8 races. Finalist mode making a return, which we're very excited about for the final, that is for sure. Monza, though, is going to be a barnstorming opener. These guys have got to go to the Hockenheimring and Fuji after this. Certainly circuits where overtaking is a little bit more difficult, although there's nowhere easier, you could argue, than Monza, maybe Daytona. But it is one of those circuits that provides the great racing, and it will do here in race number 1. Erhan Yayovski will have control of the field here in a moment. He takes his first pole since the second round of the 2024 online season back at Orchard Road. Haven't been there since. Erhan Yayovski gets another pole this time round, his 6th all time, as he now makes his way up towards the start-finish line. And we are green flag racing. His teammate Yuri Toman rides alongside, and they're going to try and control this from the front with 3 Williams drivers and 3 Porsche Commanders on the inside instead, and they're going all over the place here. They're going to get in the line of the Vitalities. Yayovski and Toman on the inside. It's 3 wide for the lead very nearly, but Yayovski takes charge. 3 teams into second place. Oh, into Yayovski's off. Yayovski breaks too late in towards turn 1. He's thrown it away immediately here. And Team Vitality are falling down the field. Yuri Toman goes backwards as well. Yuri
Toman pushed off the road there, and this could end up being not so great indeed for Vitality. Williams picking up the pieces. We can see here, taking a look at Rogers, Collins and Warren all working in a line. You've got Williams as well trying to find their way through as they jostle their way into the Roger. There was contact between 2 Porsches in the previous race at the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. They cannot afford it in this one.
Oh dear, Vitality make up 3 of the final 4. The guys who've got qualifying bans, by the way, are still the last 3. Kazabon, Chinchik and Breyer haven't been able to make any progress, but Erhan Yayovski leads, Jamie. Would you say he gained an advantage there by cutting across the first chicane?
Yeah, he's a full second clear, so I would say he has to give up at least some of that time. Remains to be seen what the stewards will say about that, but disaster outside of that for Vitality. They weren't able to control it off the start. Yayovski moving left, moving right to try and give his teammate the slipstream, but also cover off the chasing pack, and it just didn't go to plan. And yeah, those guys now have a major uphill battle.
And this has gone from being quite a positive position for teams like Vitality, even Williams coming into this race. At the moment, I have got Porsche Commander scoring quite a bit more points than the rest of the field. So it seems as though Porsche Commander might be the ones that are actually looking in a pretty solid position.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on penalties, of course, over the course of the next few moments. But let's have another look at this replay. Talk us through it, Jamie.
Yeah, so Yayovski sort of moving across a little bit on the brakes, and he's realised he's gone way, way too deep and cuts across the chicane. And then it's 3 wide, 2 back, and it's just carnage trying to get everyone squeezed through there. Toman getting fed off wide. Probably not what he'd actually do there. He gets shuffled down to P9, and yeah, the Coanda drivers, I think, primarily taking full advantage of that.
Daniel Pastor got shoved out wide there by Dame Warren, and Jordan Caruso slipped through as well. So Porsche Coanda now 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th in this race. Looking good all of a sudden after being under such pressure earlier. Here's Yuri Toman. He looks to get past Vasilis Beltsiotis down in towards the second chicane here on lap 2, side by side, and he can't manage it just about, but it's just a bit wide, and that might give Toman the advantage out the corner. Not quite. The Vitalities are queuing up for this 8th position.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, we work our way then through Lesmo 1. It's all Porsche Commanders in a line, and from this position they can take control. They can start working their way through, teaming up. The problem for them, though, surely, is that not only, you know, Josh Rogers, then Tobias Pfeffer, it's 1.2 seconds then to Erhan Yayovski, and that's the big one. I mean, is that like too large of a margin for them to kind of overcome?
I would say so. It depends, though, on whether Yayovski has to give up time or whether he starts making any mistakes. In terms of raw pace, Yayovski has been pretty strong around here from what I've seen. And it seems likely that if Pfeffer's going to get challenged by Rogers and the chasing Coanda pack, that they're going to cost each other time. It's very hard to battle and then not lose heaps around here. So I would say Yayovski's probably in the clear for now, but this might get decided in the stewards room.
Yeah, let's see. We'll keep an eye on that over the course of this race. Now, can those Vitality Aston Martins do anything here? Don't forget, it's about topping this group, not just getting second place like what we saw for the upper bracket. You've got to finish top and So Vitality have got to get ahead of Williams first of all, then get closer to Porsche Coanda. It's not quite so simple. Side by side through the first chicane. BS+COMPETITION's got a huge job in his hands to defend, but this could really help Williams. If he just holds them off, he can consign Vitality's best three, you could argue, to a finish 8th place or worse.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. It's about like trying to make things a little bit better for your team later on. It's about trying to take control of this race. It's about trying to make it as bad for your enemies and your rivals as you possibly can. BS+COMPETITION doing a great job to keep Toman at bay. It's looking like a disaster at the moment for Vitality. Toman, Kazabon and Jinjing 9th, 10th and 11th, and they've got Dominic Blyer, who has got good pace around this circuit, of course. When we went racing in it yesterday in the round robin, he was the one that was victorious. Yes, he did it from pole position, but he's proven that he's got the pace to win around here.
He does indeed, but you can't win a race from P12 and 6 seconds off the lead at this stage of the race. So ultimately, it's going to be really, really difficult. I think Vasilios in this scenario just has to play rear gunner to power store ahead and just keep the Vitality swarm behind him. Blyer, if he can pick up any pieces from here, then that's great, but at this point, you don't want to completely throw yourself out of contention, especially when it's only one that progresses through. It's not like what we had yesterday where it was one drops out, so it was playing it safe was the order of the day. You have to be super aggressive here where you can.
And how much do you sign up to the idea that in race one you can't necessarily win this group, but you can certainly lose it if you score badly, as these three Vitalities are doing at the moment?
Very much so, because we only have 3 races, and that's really not an awful lot of time for things to turn around if it does go badly in that first race. We had that experience ourselves, as we see side by side between Power Store and Caruso. This is crucial. It's only midfield positions, but every time that you take a position off of another driver, it's a double whammy. You gain and they lose.
Yeah.
So every position that you can gain on a rival team is absolutely crucial, especially in the early stages here, to build that momentum.
And now the Vitalities are in one line. They've got alongside BS+COMPETITION now for the Curva Grande, and Kazabon's going to try and get in behind his teammate as well. Yuri Toman it is who's got the chance this time round, but they're on the outside in time for the second chicane. They're 3 wide nearly here. The Vitalities are maybe going to crash into each other if they do that, and so Marcel Chintik backs out of it, but Yuri Toman's going to get through into that second chicane, and now they've got to follow. Kazabon's got to try and do this as well, and Blyer's getting involved to try and take some pressure off of his teammate.
Yeah, he's going to get freight trained here if he's not careful. He drops back in line, this BS+COMPETITION, and cuts off the damage from behind, keeps Kazabon at bay. It's Chinchik and Blyer, 2 winners around here in this competition, the Esports World Cup for 2025, in 11th and 12th position, staring at the back of it. Again, these are crucial points. It might not sound like much right now. It bumps up your average. It makes things potentially, that chance of it being a little bit easier, and Williams will know that. Remember, in the first, I know they had 4 races yesterday, but in the first race yesterday, they scored just 11 points and still nearly got straight through into the upper bracket.
Yeah, and that shows that it can still turn around even if it goes badly wrong, but they did have that extra race. So as we're seeing here now, it's Pfeffer defending hard against Rogers and Collins. It's pretty tricky actually to see how Pfeffer can hang on to this. He's going to try and push super hard here to work his way further or closer towards Yodge in case he gets a penalty, but the Coanda boys will not hang around. If they've got an opportunity to overtake, they will.
Here comes Rogers and Collins down the inside into second position, maybe. Rogers is clear, but, well, yes, he is clear. Now, what about Collins, though? He's still alongside, and this should allow Porsche Coanda into second and third position. This is only going to help them in the standings at the moment. They should have over 50 points now, I think, and if they can start to average that each race, then they'll be in the money. Now, Team Vitality battling amongst themselves here. BS+COMPETITION is back in front of Yuri Toman again. Kazabon's the one going backwards. They've let Chinchik through now to have a go. This is looking like a bit of a mess for Team Vitality.
Certainly so. Back to Jordan Caruso, Daniel Pajstorp in their fight for 6th and 7th position. And again, all of these being very important points for Porsche Coanda after the bitter disappointment of racing at the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, a circuit which should go well for them. Not so great. We are getting a note, though. There is a penalty for Erhan Yayovsky.
Yeah, just the 1 second, though. Just the 1 second. So he's got a second. I mean, to me, that's kind of like, it's almost less than what he gained. I don't know about what you think, but a second, at the moment, it's not going to affect him.
But it's super close, though. Last time that we just saw the gap there, it was right around that 1 second mark. So on top of that, he's going to get a couple of penalty points as well for that. So if he doesn't keep the win, he'll not probably keep maximum points per second, if that makes sense. It hurts the team points in that regard. So it's actually really important that he keeps that gap above 1 second so that he at least claims the win despite the penalty.
And don't forget, they're basically holding out for Yuyovski at the moment, because he is the only Vitality driver who's really performing well at the moment. The others are squabbling amongst themselves further down in the field. At the moment, maximum 9th place in this one. Here's Tobias Pfeffer, doesn't get in the middle of those guys at the moment. So that's an interesting call from him alongside with the Porsche Coanders at the moment. Just didn't want to go through, it looked like.
I think that he'll probably have been told that Yuyovski's got the 1 second penalty, and he's going to sit behind the Coanda drivers to try and use them to help drag him closer to Yuyovski. That gap's gone out to 1.2 seconds. That is crucial. But if Rogers and Collins can sort of drag Pfeffer along and get right up to them, as BS+COMPETITION and oh my goodness.
Oh, BS+COMPETITION very nearly lost it there in front of all 5 of them. And Vitality now are trying to take some hold of this group. He's going to go around here, surely? No, he somehow saves it, and look at this, through on all of them, through into 8th place, Marcel Cintic, up the order he goes. BS+COMPETITION still side by side with his now bitter rival Yuri Toman through the Lesmos.
And Don Plyer was really trying to get involved there. He nearly made it past all of them, just misjudged it a little bit. He now remains side by side at the rear end of the field with Thibaut Casabon. The pair of those fighting over 11th position at the moment. Is Casabon there sticking out on the left-hand side? And it is indeed the position switch. So Williams getting the extra point, of course, with Don Plyer working his way through into 11th. But chaotic scenes there through the Roger between Williams and Vitality.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys don't really need to be scrapping super hard over it, because, as we've seen before, penalty points will kick in, and they hurt so much more when you're further down the field, because we've seen scenarios where drivers have actually scored negative points over the race. They might as well have not even taken to the start because they finished low down and then got themselves involved in incidents. So obviously you want to try and gain the positions if you can, but if it's going to cost you more points than what it's worth, you've got to sometimes play the percentages.
Now Pfeffer is trying to get in amongst them, but he's not going to get anywhere there. Josh Rogers holds him off for the moment. The reason why we questioned, why he's staying where he is at the moment is because, yes, I certainly get trying to stay to the leader, but surely Porsche Coanda are the big rival at the moment. You need to finish top of this group, and if they're scoring 50-odd, that's hard to bring back.
It is hard to bring back, but you've got to think the long term, even just within the race itself. If you can get closer to the car ahead that has a penalty and then fight towards the end, then that's an opportunity as well. It's so difficult though if you're 1 versus 2, and I found out to my own debt at the start of the week, where sometimes it's not totally on. You've just got it. Oh, never mind. Blair getting shoved wide there through the second chicane there, and we'll see if he has to give that up as well.
Yeah, Blair was battling with Casabon and with Toman. We head our way back up to Caruso, who is behind Pajtor, and now back up towards the higher parts of the field, of course. Erhan Yuyovski leads by 1.6 seconds, has that 1 second time penalty at the moment. Points-wise, it will be 52 points for Porsche Coanda Esports Racing Team. Team Vitality would be on 28, I believe, with the I think it's 2 penalty points for the 1 second penalty, and Alassi and Williams Sim Racing would be on 26. So a big gap is growing. Porsche have double the points of Williams at the moment. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely massive. Considering the sort of inauspicious qualifying from Coanda, they've quietly went about their business. They've done a very professional job so far. They've got 2 cars up there inside the top 3, and that's really important, getting yourselves into podium positions. Sometimes you don't have to win the race to have a really strong race as a team, and they're currently holding off Pfeffer there in P4. It's so difficult. We'll see if Pfeffer's going to try and do something here up the inside of Rogers, but it's going to be so difficult on corner exit. A little bit of contact there through turn 1, and then he's going to get fed out wide at turn 2. No, he actually gets the car down really well. And Collins then further ahead is going to have to move left to give his teammate the slipstring, and that makes it so much more difficult. As I said, 1 versus 2 is so difficult, especially whenever the lead car has the advantage of the high ground to give his teammate the slipstring.
And even with the shorter line through the Curva Grande, Tobias Pfeffer can't get past, and you start to wonder how he's going to manage this in the next few moments, how he's going to get past those 2 in front. It's Erhan Yuyovski who's leading this race. He's in the sort of yellowy, green Aston Martin out front for Team Vitality. Next in line, it's Charlie Collins in the white Porsche, followed by his teammate Josh Rogers, then Tobias Pfeffer, who's in 4th position. Dane Warren rounds out the top 5. We've gone back to Jordan Caruso. He's trying to attack Daniel Pastor at the moment for 6th place.
Yeah, indeed. This is, by the way, for reference, if you don't know where we are in the race, this is, we're on lap 7 at the moment, so there will be 2 more laps left to go at the line. We apologize for the technical issues we're dealing with at the moment, but we do indeed have a race going, and it is indeed a 1.8 second lead. Yovski's actually pulled out that margin, so he's dealing with the 1 second time penalty very well. You can see at the bottom of your screen, we've got the Williams Esports driver, Williams Sim Racing drivers. Williams Esports has been rebranded. Don Blyer on the left-hand side, Vasilis Belletsiotis, then we've got Tobias Pfeffer and Daniel Pastor going from left to right.
Yeah, absolutely. So really impressive stuff actually from Yovski to pull out that gap, especially against what we know as 2 world-class operators in Collins and Rogers. They actually swapped at one point. I'm not sure exactly where, but Rogers was ahead of Collins and then they swapped round. So maybe that's the reason for the gap extending out, but that gap's almost at 2 seconds now. So Yovski's, I think, very much in the clear here, and it's going to be a case of whether Pfeffer can put any sort of dent into the Porsche Coanda car's head.
Yeah, it shows, doesn't it? Even though you could say the first chicane was dubious for Yovski, he does deserve to be out front at the moment. He's clearly got the speed, but obviously there might be some more discussions a bit later about that cut across the first chicane. Let's see if Jordan Caruso can do anything here in terms of getting 6th. If they could lock out most of the top half here at Porsche Coanda, they'd be very pleased. Outside line in the second chicane, gets to the inside of the second part, sliding the both of them on the way out the corner, but he's got the inside for the next 2, has the Australian, and surely that is going to be through. He is indeed. That is 4 Porsche Coandas in the top 6.
Yeah, lovely move there. Jordan Caruso working his way through. Then as he rejoins and dabs onto the brakes going into Lesmo 2, not a corner you really want to make a move. So the battle for 6th position continues with Caruso inside the top 6. Porsche Coanda Esports, they have all 4 of their cars in the top half of the field. All 4 are in the top 6. They're scoring very well in this. Got them to do this against Redline and Virtus.pro.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good bounce back at the minute for Coanda. It was such a tough set of 3 races earlier as we look at Yovski sort of coming towards the end of the lap. Is this the final lap?
No, it's penultimate lap.
Penultimate lap, my apologies.
Don't stop.
Don't stop. We're going to keep rolling. Super stuff here from Yovski, just to at least keep the Vitality guys in play.
Oh, well, he is celebrating, so maybe it is the checkered flag coming up towards the line. And there we go. It is the last lap of the race. Erhan Yovski has indeed taken victory. He was chased down by those in behind him to about 1.8 seconds in the end, but despite that 1 second penalty, Team Vitality take the victory. But you've got to say it's these boys who will be pleased the most. Porsche Coanda getting all 4 of their drivers in the top half. They would have been super worried about dropping out of that upper bracket and then missing out on the final completely, but that race ensures that they are in pole position after race 1 in this lower bracket.
They are indeed leading the points in the lower bracket. It was expected. I'm sure even the likes of the legendary Jamie Fluke could have predicted that Porsche Coanda would do well in the lower bracket. They are doing well as expected. Great race victory though